Atma Namaste all and welcome to this session. On this auspicious day of Guru Purnima, we are starting with a new book study which we hope will benefit all of us because this is a book for the sadhaks. Okay. And before we go further, we also want to first of all thank Reddy sir for all the teachings. In light of whatever we have learned from sir, we have been able to grasp the teachings better, have better understanding. And the first references of this very book that we are reading this time also is from sir's book studies only. So for those who are new, you may not be aware, so I'm just sharing. Sir used to regularly conduct book studies on the theosophy books. Apart from the books like etheric body, astral body, mental body, causal body, and solar system, and all these books, once every alternate week, we used to also have book studies on voice of silence and light on path. All this is right from 2012 when we had joined YPV and we had seen all the book studies, and it is very, very rich with information. And so this book that we are starting today, this is a very, very, I should say, basic book, and but basic book with lots and lots of information for the sadhak. Okay, so to show you all, this is the book that we are going to study. This is At the Feet of the Master. So you can see the size. This is a very tiny book. Dikhne ko. Okay, yeah, so you can see it from the, like, it fits into the palm. And this is probably a book that you should always have in your purse or whatever, wherever you're going. And anytime you're there, you can just open this book and read, and it will be relevant to you. It is one such book. Okay. So we'll do a small invocation and then start. Okay, so let us invoke, hands on our heart, smile, relax. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to our beloved teacher, to all the spiritual teachers, holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, spiritual helpers, all the angels related to the teachings of us, Theosophy and Yoga Prana Vidya, we humbly invoke for your divine blessing, guidance, help, and protection to have deep understanding of this book that we are studying. We invoke for blessings from our beloved Sir and all the author of this book and all the related people. We invoke for special blessings that we may internalize these teachings. With gratitude, respect, and love, we thank you in full faith. Okay, so the book that we are going to study, this is called At the Feet of the Master. And this book, if you see, the author is written as Alcyone. Okay, sorry. Alcyone was the pen name that was used by J. Krishnamurti ji when he was writing this book. And what is important to know is, when he was writing this book, he was like 13 years old. He was just a young person. And also, from whatever we have read about it, it says that he was not very good at English at that time, apparently. But you can see, I mean, the English in the book is very simple. At the same time, it is, grammatically and everything, it is very nice. So that is a different matter. But supposedly, he was not very good at English at that point. Okay. This is some information that you should know. This book, as I said, it has guidance for the sadhak. Now, if you're going through any problem, you can just read this book and you will get some insight. At different times, different things will pop up when you read the book. So this is some book that you can keep reading anytime, and it will always have something new to offer to you. Okay. One thing is that when we are, when our aura is purified better, that time the state of the chakras is such that the understanding is also more better. In that sense, I particularly have one experience about this book when this was distributed to us in one of our ashram trips. And I remember when we were coming back from the ashram in the car itself, I just started reading the book. And that day, the clarity with which I understood it seemed to be very different. So Basically what I'm saying is I recommend that people should read this book over and over, again and again. Okay. Now coming to the book, as I said, this book is written by Alcyone, and he is actually J. Krishnamurti ji. So about J. Krishnamurti ji, just a few things that we should know. So for those who are new to this whole teaching, I must tell you. So J. Krishnamurti ji, or Alcyone as he is known here, was kind of discovered by C.W. Leadbeater. Okay, so Bishop C.W. Leadbeater, he is a leading theosophist, and in the beach of Adyar, he had spotted. And when he had spotted as a young boy, when he had seen J. Krishnamurti for the first time, what struck him was he felt that his aura was very different. So CWL, when he saw JK the first time, it struck him that he had the most wonderful aura he had ever seen, without a particle of selfishness in it. This is what he had to say about it. And eventually, J. Krishnamurti ji was kind of, brought up by Dr. Annie Besant. So she was like the guardian and the godmother. J. Krishnamurti ji's father was working for the Theosophical Society in Adyar. So that's how he was probably there. He had gone there with the family and things like that. Okay, so this is the background. And so this, what we call the introduction, the preface, is written by Annie Besant. Okay, so I will share my screen so that all of you can see. And there it is. Okay, so this preface, when you read it in a PDF form, this book is only 12 pages, mind you. Okay, when it comes as a printed form, it is like this. Okay, so let me start by reading the preface. The privilege is given to me as an elder to pen a word of introduction to this little booklet, the first written by a younger brother, young in body verily, but not in soul. The teachings contained in it were given to him by his master in preparing him for initiation, and were written down by him from memory, slowly and laboriously. For his English last year was far less fluent than it is now. So she says here that this is written by JK, who is very young in body but not in soul, and the teachings are given by his master. So that brings us to who was his master. So his master was Master Kuthumi. Okay, and I'll share my screen so that you can
stop sharing.
Okay, I'll have to stop share and say new share, and then share the screen. Okay, so this is Master Kuthumi. Okay, so this is his, he's a holy master, and he had given these teachings, and this book is for the first initiation. Okay, the other books that I had just mentioned briefly, like Voice of Silence, that is for Arhat initiation, and Light on Path, that is even, high funda teachings for adeptship. Okay, so just a second. Yeah, these terminologies we will go to a little later, but fundamentally this is for starters, for initiation, the first initiation. So the teachings were given to him by his master, and here it is written that he wrote these down from memory, and at a point, like I said, when his English was not very fluent apparently. The greater part is a reproduction of his master's own words. That which is not such a verbal reproduction is the master's thought clothed in his pupil's words. So basically, he has stuck to the core teachings, whatever was given by the master. Wherever it is feasible, he has used master's words itself, and at other points, he has put his own words into it. 2 omitted sentences were supplied by the master. Matlab, when he reproduced the whole thing, only 2 sentences he had omitted. and they were again supplied by the master. In two other cases, an omitted word has been added. That is all the alteration that was required, where he was actually writing from his memory. Beyond this, it is entirely Alcyon's own, his first gift to the world. Okay. So this is all typically Annie Besant's sentences and her formation. May it help others as the spoken teachings helped him. Such is the hope with which he gives it. But the teaching can only be fruitful if it is lived as he has lived it, since it fell from the master's lips. If the example be followed as well as the precept, then for the reader as for the writer shall the great portal swing open and his feet be set on the path. So this is the preface. This is the toughest language that we will come across. Rest of it is very easy. I mean, as far as the English is concerned, that is the way in which they frame sentences. So basically, what she's saying here is that if we live by these teachings just as he had lived it, as it since it fell from the master's lip, then it will open the higher portals for the sadhak, and his feet will be set on the path. What is his something?
Yeah, primarily.
Yeah. You come into the frame.
It's okay. Yeah, what it says is like, hi Atma Namaste all. What it says is that this is the initiation, this is the first step that people are taking. And as you walk the path, it opens up, you cannot leave the path. Once you get into the path, you keep on moving in the path and you keep moving forward. So it will keep on opening the doors as you progress. That is what it is indicative of.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So the first few words now from here. To those who knock, basically the seekers. From the unreal, lead me to the real. From darkness, lead me to light. From death, lead me to immortality. Okay, this is the prayer, basically Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, you know. So this is the very prayer that is translated. From here, now the book will start. Okay. So the foreword. These are not my words. They are the words of the master who taught me. Without him, I could have done nothing. But through his help, I have set my feet upon the path. You also desire to enter the same path, so the words which he spoke to me will help you also if you will obey them. It is not enough to say that they are true and beautiful. A man who wishes to succeed must do exactly what is said. To look at food and say that it is good will not satisfy a starving man. He must put forth his hand and eat. So to hear the master's words is not enough. You must do what he says, attending to every word, taking every hint. If a hint is not taken, if a word is missed, it is lost forever, for he does not speak twice. Okay, so he just, the author begins by saying that these are the words that I was given when to set my feet upon the path. And just like, you know, just saying Baba or it is very beautiful is not going to really satisfy. Like we saw, he says, no, it is for the people who knock, for the seeker. So for a seeker, the person has to actually follow the teaching, live the teaching, and then it will help them. That is fundamentally what I understand from this. And the words are quite self-explanatory. So moving on. Okay. So at the very beginning, we are meeting the 4 qualifications there are for this pathway. So these are 4 qualifications. This is what one needs to have to move on the path. Okay, in order to go on the path, one does not have to be I mean, I have to have met with all this in completeness, but this is what one has to work on as we move on the path. So what are the 4 qualifications? These are the 4 qualifications for the sadhak. The first one is called discrimination. Discrimination, desirelessness, good conduct, and love. So these are the 4 qualifications. In the coming pages, he will elaborate what does he mean by discrimination, what exactly the sadhak has to discriminate, what is desirelessness. So we will look at all these things. And this good conduct, there are some 6 subdivisions to that. So we will look at what they are. And lastly, love. Okay. So love means, we will look at the explanation also for each one of them as we go itself. Okay. What the master has said to me on each of these, I shall try to tell you. Now, for those who are interested, let me just share. These 4 words, they are also in Sanskrit, in other teachings in Theosophy, we come across it. It comes across as Viveka, Vairagya, Shata Sampatti, and Mumukshatva. Okay, so these are the 4 qualifications. Viveka, discrimination. Vairagya, desirelessness. Good conduct is Shat Sampatti. So there are 6 subdivisions to that. And then the last being Mumukshatva or love. Okay, love here would mean an intense desire for liberation actually. Mumukshatva would translate something like that, an intense desire for liberation. So a person who is starting his journey on the path should have these qualities or should be interested in these. Okay, so before we go further, I just want to share one thought on Mumukshatva. So, there is this story of a saint. So one person goes to that saint and he says, I want to get enlightened. I really want to get enlightened. So the saint says, okay, so what are you willing to do for it? He says, I will take every effort. I'll do everything. And but I want that to happen quickly. I want it to happen very fast. So the saint says, okay. And then what he does? He takes that person to the river and uska gala pakad ke, he puts him into the water. And his head is sunk in that water and he's drowning. Not drowning exactly, but it's very uncomfortable and he's gasping. So he puts him in the water for some time and he pulls him out. And he says, what did you want the most when we did this just now? So he said, I just wanted air. I just needed air to breathe. So he said that if you work as intensely, how much you wanted that air just now or how intensely you wanted, usi tarah, if you seek and if you do what it takes, then you can get there. Okay, so basically intense seeking. Okay, so let's proceed with the text itself. So we are starting with the 4 qualifications. The first of these qualifications is discrimination. The first of these qualifications is discrimination, and this is usually taken as the discrimination between the real and the unreal, which leads men to enter the path. It is this, but is also much more, and it is to be practiced not only at the beginning of the path, but at every step of it, every day until the end. You enter the path because you have learned that on it alone can be found those things which are worth gaining. Men who do not know work to gain wealth and power, but these are at most for one life only, and therefore unreal. There are greater things than these which are real and lasting. When you have once seen these, you desire those others no more. You desire those others no more. So he's saying the first of these qualifications is what? Discrimination. And discrimination mane kya? To know the real from unreal. So what are you seeking? Are you seeking something which is, this is the thing that leads people to enter the path? And then what are we talking about? So you enter the path because you know that whatever you can get from the senses, from all these things, that is not the thing that is worth gaining. You know, there is something more to life. You know that there is something more to life which is real. And all these things, what he's talking about, gaining wealth or gaining power, these are temporary. Okay, at the most, you can have it for one life only, isn't it? So he says, at the most, ye sab to, this is only for one life, therefore it is unreal. And there are greater things than these, which are real and lasting. So once you understand that there are greater things than these, then you desire the others no more. So you're not too bothered about just wealth and power. You want to add anything? In all the world, there are only two kinds of people. Those who know and those who don't know. And this knowledge is the thing which matters. What religion a man holds, to what race he belongs, these things are not important. The really important thing is this knowledge. And what is that knowledge? The knowledge of God's plan for men. For God has a plan, and that plan is evolution. When once a man has seen that and really knows it, he cannot help working for it and making himself one with it, because it is so glorious, so beautiful. So because he knows he is on God's side, standing for good and resisting evil, working for evolution and not for selfishness. So there are two kinds of people. What are the two kinds of people? One who knows and one who doesn't know. Knows or doesn't know what? God's plan. Okay. So what is God's plan? There is a glorious plan, and that is of evolution. So if you see, like we have this great invocation prayer in which it is said, no, the plan, what is it? This thing which the masters know, and so the divine plan. So the plan which the masters the purpose which the holy masters know and serve, so that plan, that is, what is it? It is evolution itself. The plan is evolution. And so once you know that this is the plan, somehow you end up starting to work for it. You make yourself one with it. Why? Because it is so glorious and so beautiful. And what is it that the person is aspiring to be? On God's side, as in standing for good, resisting evil, and working for the evolution and not for selfishness. These are some of the tips, like at the very beginning. You want to add something?
Yeah. So what is so different in theosophy as compared to any other religious system or studies that we know of is the plan for evolution that is there. So they believe that the whole world or earth and everything, the whole universe is created because there's an evolutionary process of it. And the other important thing in this, which doesn't come out in other aspects or other teachings, is the hierarchy of beings. That there are some people who are a little more evolved than the others. Within us, each one is at his own stage of evolution, and they are just going through this, and the purpose with the holy masters know and soul, the holy masters are actually planted at various points in time to accelerate this process of evolutionary process. So there is a plan that is going on, and this plan is is all around you even now. It is to identify that plan, is to understand, and then you start working with the plan. So God, you can put it as nature, you want to take it as nature. It's a natural process that is going on. And that is what you need to identify when we talk of the real versus the unreal.
We'll just take it to this one more paragraph. If he is on God's side, he is one of us, and it does not matter in the least whether he calls himself a Hindu or a Buddhist, a Christian or a Muslim, whether he is an Indian or an Englishman, a Chinese or a Russian. Those who are on his side know why they are here and what they should do, and they are trying to do it. All the others do not yet know what they should do, and so they often act foolishly and try to invent ways for themselves which they think will be pleasant for themselves, not understanding that all are one, and that therefore only what the one wills can ever be really pleasant for anyone. They are following the unreal instead of the real. Until they learn to distinguish between these two, they have not ranged themselves on God's side, and so this discrimination is the first step. So this discrimination, what did he talk of? Real versus unreal. So those who are just discriminating, or who are saying that so and so is a Hindu or a Buddhist, or some religion we are associating the person with, or some country. So it doesn't matter which country the person is from, so long as they are on that plan, so long as they are working. What matters is only whether they are working with the God's plan, as in for the evolution, or they are working against it. So many times people are here, he's saying here, foolishly trying to do things which are pleasant for themselves. That means they are acting out of selfishness. Instead of thinking of the greater good or the whole, they are working for themselves. They are looking at what is it in it, what is in it for me, and they are not looking at the greater good. So the moment they are doing that, then they are following the unreal instead of following the real. One should always do what is in it for what is for the greater good, and what is according to the plan of evolution. So this is just the beginning. As we go, we will get more clarity on what we mean by each of these things. Okay. Our thought was that we will do this book in small bits of 30 minutes. Today, of course, some part of it went for the introduction, but that is how we will digest this book slowly. And so for today, as far as a book reading is concerned, I'll terminate it here, and then I'll open it for discussion if anybody wants to share anything, and then we will take it forward from here. Our thought was that we would meet on Thursdays, 9 to 9:30. So just half an hour slots in which we will take this book forward. As you can see, we are on page 2. There are totally only 12 pages. May not take very long, but it will still take some time for us. And as we go later on, we can relook at the initial phrases also. Okay, so just a minute. Yeah, one second. Stop share. Okay. So with that, we'll do a Thanksgiving for today's session and see you in the further sessions. So let us do Thanksgiving. Hands on our heart. We made a beginning today, chalo. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to our beloved teacher, to all the spiritual teachers, holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, spiritual helpers, to all the angels and ministers associated with these teachings of Theosophy and Yoga Pranavidya, we thank you all for your continuous guidance, blessings, help, and protection. With your divine grace, may all of us be able to understand these teachings deeply and internalize and implement these teachings. With gratitude, respect, and love, we thank you in full faith. Okay, Atma Namaste. Thank you for joining. See you in the future sessions.